Buenos días. Good morning. I think that we got, the central piece of our framework done just now with Mama Yama, because the main element of my reflection is the interconnection of how we do our work in a triangle that mixes our identity, our search for autonomy, and in order to create power. And the need for us to engage in this work we do rooted in who we are and not on the issues. We often go to conferences and workshops and we organize meetings when people come into the room, our community leaders, members, brothers, sisters, and it's all about the agenda and the issues. And in looking for the how, we forget the why and what for. And we cannot afford to do that because this is not a debate, this is a battle. It's not about the issues, it's about us. It's about life and death, as the sister reminded us yesterday. Because we are defending and affirming our right to live with dignity, we continue to be under attack, and we represent and belong to communities who have been doing this for hundreds, thousands of years. So it's not about the issues, but we are doing this in the midst of a political culture. We call it the mainstream organizations, who might have at their heart good intentions, but we can get lost if we buy those frames, if we reproduce those frames, if we engage their questions, and we stop asking our own strategic questions that go directly to survival. The more privilege we have, the more we can afford to believe that the system works. But if we belong and work with communities that the system hasn't been working for these communities, and the price is your life, or the price is that you wake up with pain and you go to bed with pain, and you have to choose between buying the medicine or buying the food, we cannot afford to buy the lie that the system works. So we cannot confuse deliverables with deliverance. We cannot confuse deliverables with deliverance. We cannot get lost in the short-term campaign mentality that is trapped in electoral and funding cycles. But we also need to dance to that music because that's the dominant music. We cannot just say, oh, I'm going to keep my ideological purity and walk away from all that stuff. Because if I work with a community that needs immigration reform right now, and needs access to decent transportation, and needs and deserves access to decent education and healthy food. So, the difference between choosing an issue and issues choosing our communities. I cannot walk away, or if I have the privilege to walk away, I need to ask then what my role is. If I have the privilege to walk away, I shouldn't be making strategic decisions. The strategic decisions should be made by those who risk the most. But we live in a political culture of talk shows where words have no meaning, no value, and there is these historical clowns, very angry white male yelling at us, seeing us with eyes that reflect their fear. And the eyes we need to use to look at ourselves are the eyes of Mama Yama. Those are the eyes we need to see to see our power and connect to that. So we're here in Roots and Remedies trying to find what are the strategic survival questions we need to be connecting to, and finding ways to balance our need to drink from our own wells and our own water and connect to our deep power, and to balance our need to win campaigns, to win concrete victories, and to build a movement that can transform. So we're trying to move it with what Jojo Geronimo, this amazing popular educator from the Philippines, taught, the need to win, build, transform. And then today we were reminded that we need to transfigure too. As Reverend Desmond Tutu said during apartheid, and apartheid is such a relevant word these days, there is no situation that is not transfigurable. And if we can have hope, it's because we have memory. That's why our people are the main carriers of hope. because we know what we have been through as communities and as individuals. I had some images I was going to show. We need to move on, but there is just this one I want you to keep in your heart. Every summer I go with my family to the Mexico-Guatemala border. I'm from Mexico. After NAFTA, my country has been turned into this vertical militarized border where my brothers from Central America had to lose their lives in order to get here to keep subsidizing the American dream. It's not enough that they subsidize it from there, working on sweatshops when they make $36 a week. When that's not enough, they need to leave their house and try to make it here to the U.S. so that they can make $7 an hour, less than $9,000 a year, but it's still better than that because the sweatshop there moved to China. So we go there, we document, we're trying to document. I mean, my wife works on this documenting the human rights stories, but we see them, they cannot take the buses, so they need to ride the beast. They need to ride the trains, hanging from the trains. The products go safe inside the trains. The workers have to ride hanging from the trains. That's the democracy we have under free trade and this historical time. But the people keep going. And sometimes they fall, sometimes they lose limbs, and they keep going. We went to the shelter, and I want us to remember this. It is brutal. We're talking life and death. We know it. But again, we know we're stronger. Our communities have this root. And one of the most powerful images I saw when I went there with my kids, and my kid became really good friend with one of these migrant workers from Honduras, Wilson. He has lost an arm falling from the train. And then there was this other young guy who was a campesino from Honduras too, who lost one leg from the knee. And Wilson was up there in a thing to build a wall. They were helping to build a shelter for those who came after them. And one was hopping with the wheel, how you call the carretilla, the wheelbarrow, like the thing. He was carrying bricks in there, and the other one was laying bricks, building the shelter for the one that came after them. They don't give up, they keep going. And they belong to a people that is here and that in many ways is already winning. That's why these loot-ups and white angry males are yelling. They know they already lost. Their vision is not gonna happen. We are still here, powerful and with love and with dignity. The fact that they love doesn't mean that we have already finished our victory. That doesn't mean we have won. We have a lot of work to do. And in that work, we're gonna be balancing these winning concrete campaigns, but not getting lost that is what we are about, that being pragmatical. Our work is not about what's possible or practical. They say that's not going to happen, that's not possible under the current political climate. We are not meteorologists. We want to be the weather. We don't want to know the weather. So we're going to be navigating in this, and Makani is going to get us into thinking and talking more about this notion of balancing, being pragmatic, being real about building this power, winning, but also transfiguring this system and connecting to this identity, building autonomy, and being clear that we are talking about a different kind of power. We're not going to defeat and transform the power that has been oppressing us by using the same kind of power. No, and the quote I had in mind was, there was this Bolivian indigenous leader in the 18th century, Tupac Katari, who led a rebellion against the Spaniards, and when they were about to kill him, literally tear him to pieces, he said, I will be back and I will be millions. And if you have asked anyone, there was this Bolivian organizer who was beaten up to a pulp, and they didn't kill him because they thought he was already dead. But his brothers found him, they nursed him back to health, and brought him back to the struggle. Today, he is the president of Bolivia. And if you have asked any of the policy experts, do you think it's possible that Evo Morales will one day be president of Bolivia? They will have said, you don't understand how the power and the system and what is possible. It's not real. Like you don't know, you don't understand. So we are not about that kind of pragmatism. We're about the improbable. We are an improbability, but we are very real. We are very real. We are here, and it's coming.